This is a scene right out of pre-Holocaust Germany. Thanks for stopping by for this week's Israel Frontlines update. I am Bishop Robert Stearns. I am in Israel, just landed here a couple hours ago, but coming to you live from Tel Aviv, just landed here, and wow, is there a lot going on here. The first thing I'd like to comment on, there's really a greater sense of hope than I've felt since October 7th. Many of you know that my family and I, we were here on October 7th. We were stuck here in the midst of the first 8 days of the war. And then this is now our fifth solidarity mission back during this time since October the 7th. And just even coming over on the plane, conversations with taxi drivers and hotel people and etc. There is this sense as the hostages little by little are being released, as they're sensing America's leadership in a stronger way, you get a sense that the hope of the Israelis is rising for a place of peace. Most specifically, and if you've been following along how that touches us as the Eagles Wings community, you know that on the day of prayer last year, we hosted Shlomi Berger, Agam Berger's father, at the day of prayer for the peace of Jerusalem. And so we touched that father's pain. We felt that father's grief as together at the day of prayer, we reached out in support for him and in prayer for Agam. So the whole global Eagles Wings family was just rejoicing this week when we saw Agam and Shlomi reunited and knew that we were the tiniest part of witnessing that because he had been physically with us at the day of prayer. So each time these hostages are released, there's just kind of a wave of joy that comes over the land. So lots to get into this week. Preamble is that there is this sense of hope and expectancy returning, I think, to the land here. All right, I want to comment that on January 23rd, the New York legislature introduced a bill to prohibit masked harassment. This goes back to, if you were with me last year, we were on the campus of Columbia. We've been in Times Square. And, very interestingly, I don't want to say the vast majority, but many of the Hamas sympathizing, Hamas enabling, terrorist enabling demonstrators all show up in masks, which begs the question, if you are so confident that you're right, if you're so confident that you're on the right side of history, why won't you show your face? If you've got such courage, if you're taking such a strong moral stand, why won't you show your face? And so the New York legislature has introduced a bill to prohibit individuals using their masks to conceal their identities while they're harassing others, including anti-Semitic actions. So keep your ears and eyes open for that as that works its way through the legislature. This month marks the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the 80th anniversary of the Shoah, even as anti-Semitism has never, ever been at the global level that it is at now. And yet here we are 80 years after the Holocaust. And so the UN does recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And of course, this year, we instituted, and many of you participated in, Solidarity Sunday. Solidarity Sunday is coming into cooperation with and alongside International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we had dozens of churches participate across the country. Our current numbers is that we had over 20,000 participants, and that will continue to go up, I'm sure, plus those who participated online. And I want to say, if your church did not participate, please go to the website now and sign up and get information about how your church can get involved next year. Our prayer is that we'll have hundreds of congregations across the country next year participating. We believe that it is the moral and ethical responsibility of Christians to educate society about the Holocaust. The Holocaust happened in Christian Europe. You've got to absorb that reality. It happened in Christian Europe, specifically Christian Germany. Germany was the seat of the Protestant Reformation, the seat of the Reformers. So the church must ask itself this reflective question: what was wrong with our theology? What was wrong with our systems? What was wrong with our discipleship process? What was wrong with our sense of moral and ethical imperative that we allowed evil to grow and perpetrate on our watch, resulting in 6 million dead Jews and 60 million dead human beings? This is horrible. And so we're calling the church to a place of self-awareness, self-examination, and participation in lifting your voice out against evil. Solidarity Sunday was a resounding success, and we want you to be involved next year. It is so important. Why is it important? It's important because on January 27th, the day after Solidarity Sunday, in Brooklyn, a Brooklyn Israeli restaurant was vandalized. All across the windows of the front of this restaurant, in blood red paint, words like genocide cuisine, painted all over. This is a scene right out of pre-Holocaust Germany. This is a scene right out of the time of the rise of Hitler, where the church was not speaking out, and that's why we must speak out, and we are speaking out. Red paint was splashed all over the entrance of the restaurant's other locations. This is the Miriam restaurant in Brooklyn. I'm grateful that Mayor Eric Adams said, mayor of the city out with the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, I'm heartbroken by this evil act. I'm very glad that our friend Richie Torres went and personally visited the restaurant and took a stand. And I so honor Congressman Torres, who on this Israel issue is an outspoken leader. If you're not following him on social media, you should. He's one of the great thought leaders on the topic of Israel, and we appreciate his leadership. But do you see the correlation? Do you see the direct correlation? January 26th, Solidarity Sunday, January 27th, this attack on this Israeli restaurant. What is the point? We must speak out so that these acts of violence do not go unchallenged. Well, President Trump has invited, while the International Criminal Court, which is a gathering of buffoons, while they have issued arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Trump has invited Prime Minister Netanyahu to be the very first foreign leader to meet with the president at the White House during his second term. So on February the 4th, Prime Minister Netanyahu will be visiting with President Trump in the White House, no doubt to discuss ongoing ceasefire efforts and the greater Middle East. We're hearing the president say that Jordan and Egypt should take greater responsibility in taking in refugees from Gaza. Now, people immediately get up in arms. Oh my God, this is ethnic cleansing. Oh my goodness, how horrible is this? How can you move a population? Well, folks, you've had 75 years to fix this problem. You've had 75 years, and how many billions upon billions of dollars have been thrown at this situation? So don't criticize someone for coming up with a possible solution that maybe is outside of the box, because certainly nothing the United Nations is doing is working. If anything, you have a Palestinian population more radicalized than ever. And so we should look at the fact that a vast number of Palestinians have their roots. Listen, Yasser Arafat, the founder of the PLO, was born in Egypt. Born in Egypt. More than 60%, in fact, somebody will fact check me, I think it's 70% of Jordanians are Palestinian. Why would you not have a serious dialogue about indignity, moving a population a few miles away to a nation whose language is the same, whose religion is the same, whose cuisine is the same, whose family connections. Give them some of the billions of dollars that you've lined the pockets of the corrupt leaders of Hamas and the PLO with. Give each of those families $250,000 to start a new life, and maybe you'll have a viable solution to peace in the Middle East. I'm not saying it's the solution. I'm not necessarily advocating for this solution. It would have to be studied. What I'm saying is, stop criticizing people for thinking outside the box when we've had nothing but abject failure on the part of the global family of nations in fixing the Palestinian issue over these many decades. So we will see what comes of President Trump's visit with Prime Minister Netanyahu. So I want to encourage you, if you're not already subscribing, please subscribe, please like, please share. Please go to eagleswings.org, become a partner with us today. There's a phenomenon sweeping the planet called Jerusalem-centered Christianity. It is a Christianity that recognizes that we are not rooted in Rome. We are not rooted in a Greco-Roman, Hellenistic, Romanized version of events. We are rooted in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the people and land of the covenant. And so I invite you to take your place as a watchman on the wall. Keep praying and working for the peace of Jerusalem. Next week, I'll see you right back right here.